Okay, great. Thank you so much for joining me today, Jamie. Why
Thanks
don't you
for
start
having
off?
me.
Yeah, why don't you start off by telling me about who you are and what's Glo Jar?
Yes, okay. I'm Jamie. I am in beautiful Victoria, BC, and we're actually heading into our 10th year of business, which is exciting. So, Glo Jar Beauty, we are now, 21 SKUs. Our sunscreen is our biggest prize and joy. And yeah, we started back in 2016 when it was really clean beauty was really a big focus and really started merging. And we didn't really see brands actually talking about skin in a way that made sense. So while I started because I'm a fairly holistic person, I kind of started in more of that clean beauty, traditional, like you kind of, when you launch something, especially when they didn't have the resources we do now, you kind of tend to follow those that you're kind of attracted to in terms of their brand and how their aesthetics and what they're saying. And yeah, quickly a year or so after, we just realized we wanted to we as in me, wanted to lean into education and really focus uh, creating that clarity piece for women because previous jobs, like I just really saw in my education, really saw how the whole machine worked in terms of bringing a product to retail. And I kind of wanted to do it the exact opposite.
Oh, the exact opposite. Okay, explain that. Um,
So, yeah, because I was in CPG, so consumer packaged goods in the food industry for about 10 years
mhm.
before, well, I guess I didn't leave that job until 3 years into building and starting Glo Jar Beauty. But yeah, it just, I mean, how, my education degree in business, marketing, and then going into CPG and really seeing how they just focus on just consumption and pushing product and innovation. And I understand and believe in innovation. I think it's important. Like we can always do better, create better things that hopefully are better for people and for, less impact on the planet. But honestly, the whole thing made me question the industry more. So when I wanted to do my own and start my own business, always looking at things like when you look at our first formulations, which again, we weren't working with a lab, so they were very basic. I knew, I wasn't I'm not a chemist. So I knew I couldn't put water into a product because again, that's not safe. I didn't have the knowledge to put in preservatives. And so we formulated, a simple clay mask and then lip balm. So those are the two things we started with. And again, why you ask, like, why did you look at things differently? It's because, yeah, you never, like in those big corporations, I can't speak for every one of them, but I worked for one of the biggest in North America, top three. And everything was focused on just the numbers, just the marketing, and just like volume and distribution.
Mhm.
And what was totally getting lost was like, what is this product? Like, what is this product? What is in this product? How does it help the end consumer, whether it's
Mhm.
a mom buying the food for their kids, like, and not just the story, like what is the whole, like how does it add value? And it's often not talked about because maybe it's not there. So I wanted to do it differently based on so much time questioning that myself.
Yeah, that's really cool. Creating more sustainable alternatives, right?
Yeah, it's sustainable, like more like we'll never be sustainable, but we will always look at every piece of whether it's packaging or formulation to create less demand on the environment or less waste, because we're still creating a product which still has a impact on the
Yeah,
planet. So yeah.
yeah. So what's a common misconception about skincare you wish everyone understood?
More, like everyone thinks more is better. And I spend a lot of time learning and listening from experts in the field, whether it's an esthetician or a dermatologist. It's so great the amount of access we have to education now. And none of them, for some, for some reason, people just, it doesn't fall, it doesn't land. They just, more steps they think is better, more expensive, they think
Mhm.
is higher quality. They think more treatments is going to allow you to have better skin. And that is never the case. No, again, no skin professional dealing with skin every single day, seeing hundreds and hundreds of patients. More is not better. And, their routines are always simple, and then they always end with sunscreen.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Um, so you're talking about like adding more and how that isn't necessarily better. Can you explain just in layman's term for the everyday watcher why that's the case and what's happening?
So, what's happening in the skin is it's creating more inflammation. It's just everyone's skin barrier over time. Like, you could be not noticing any kind of issues in your skin, say your 20s, and then in your late 30s, you're like, well, I've used this product forever. I don't know why I'm seeing any issues. And it's honestly, our skin can be quite resilient to a point. So you can be using the best, the most expensive vitamin C or retinol, but if you're putting it on inflamed skin, because again, we're just breaking down that skin barrier, whether it's over cleansing, over exfoliating. I think people are just using far too much. They're creating this, you're putting water in a leaky bucket. That's what they'll always say. It's just like, it comes back to more isn't better. And then compromised barrier is just going to lead to, again, doesn't matter what you buy. And I think that's a general theme of consumers now, is that if they come up with they have a skin concern, they think their instinct is to get another product. It's not,
Mhm.
do I actually like intuitively see what's going on, look at what's going on in my life, look what's going on internally, because our internal health is a mirror on our skin. So I think the more we as a brand and others, that because there's a lot of others that think like we do, where we can continue to put out great education and support, then people can kind of get back to intuitively knowing how to, learn their skin a little bit better, make those choices, not on like the more, right? Something's wrong. I need to go buy the product to put out the flame. It's like, well, actually, what any dermatologist would tell you to do, which works, is you just, cleanse and moisturize and do that for 4 weeks. Like, you don't want to put anything active on something that's already inflamed.
Yeah, that's fair. Um, so can you explain, you're touching on this really beautifully, but can you explain the role of the skin barrier in overall skin health and how it's central to your brand's philosophy?
Yeah, so the skin barrier, I mean, the simplest way to think about it is that you're keeping the barrier of your skin is trying to hold moisture in and keep the bad out. So, regulating that water loss and keeping external stressors that you might not be seeing, but they are impacting your skin health. So when it's functioning really well, it stays hydrated, it's calm, it's resilient. But when it's compromised, and I don't think a lot of people know how to identify, like, well, I don't know, is my skin barrier compromised? But if you feel, if your skin is, you can't put anything on it, it stings and burns, that like real tightness after cleansing, which a lot of people, especially when they're more oily, they love that feeling because they just feel like, the oil is taken out, and that's actually not a good thing. And it will regulate more production of sebum and oil. So really looking at, is it really tight after cleansing? Am I dealing with like stinging and that redness? and maybe breakouts in areas that you haven't experienced before. And then, yeah, products that you've used for a really long time that are now causing a concern. So when we're working with people and they're kind of, they email us, we always offer support in our DMs or via email. So if they've looked at those main things, then it's like, okay, so now you start on the basics, which is always our gentle gel cleanser, our moisturizing face cream. You might not even be able to tolerate a sunscreen depending on how compromised your skin is. So it all plays back to, like, your question is, the philosophy of our brand is paring it down and really always having those fundamentals, properly cleansing with a cleanser. It's not going to take everything off your skin, because it's important not to take every piece of oil, everything off your skin that's not supporting it. And then moisturizing, because you can only do surface hydration, right? It's not working deeper layers of your skin, but to help soften, and your skin looks so much better just from hydrating it with surface hydration with a moisturizer. And then you need sunscreen. So we always just look at it as starting the foundational routine to support the skin barrier.
Yeah. So how long does it typically take to see improvements in skin function when you start doing this barrier first approach that you're talking about?
Yeah, you need at least 4 weeks to, we always just call it like a detox. Like, you need a skincare detox. You need to be cleansing and moisturizing, and that's it. So I would say, and it's really hard for people to do that, but you don't want to be throwing actives on in that, like, inflamed
Inflamed,
state.
yeah.
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 So, like, it has to, and again, that kind of aligns with your natural skin cycle too, which is generally 4 weeks, depending on your age. So, give your skin that full skin cycle to turn over, because we get new skin every 4 weeks. So, giving it and telling people that and educating them around that will help them commit to being like, okay, I will give it that 4 weeks then, because 2 weeks is great, but 4 weeks is better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how should people be treating actives in their skincare routines in order to maintain their skin barrier? Uh,
Yeah, so I mean, again, depending on your skin type, I always say start simply. So maybe just start with your morning routine, one serum in the morning, one at night. And, knowing your skin, if you're more rosacea prone, um, some people with rosacea can use a retinol, some can't.
mhm.
And always going for the higher percentage, that you see on a product. Again, doesn't it all depends on formulation. So it really depends. Like, a 25% vitamin C serum, I mean, when you actually look at the research, whether you use PubMed or another source, they've shown effects at 5%, depending on the formulation. So a consumer that's not investing all their time into skincare formulation, like myself, how do they know that? So you just have to ask questions. And, is the product in a UV, like, is it in a clear package? Is it have a dropper? These are things that will break down the potency of the formulation and integrity and stability of the formulation. So you want to look things for a pump. You want to look things with a UV, like blocking the light. Uh, and yeah, you just, if you're looking, most women that talk to us, they are wanting their skin to just age really well,
Mm.
and using and looking for those ingredients that are, that have stood the test of time. Like, that's why I brought up vitamin C. That's why I say retinol, because we have the data, the big brands, the L'Oreal's, Estee Lauders, they've invested in the research for us to show how these molecules work within the skin, different skin tones. And so I prefer to focus on those, and then you can start looking at, other ingredients, or maybe layering one other serum in between. But sticking with lower percentages, like you don't have to go 25%, looking for things in the right packaging, and then just sticking with one serum in your morning routine, one at night, and do not forget to apply to your neck and chest and allow your serums to absorb before moving to your moisturizing, then sunscreen step.
Wonderful. That's great advice. Um, so part of your branding has to do with supporting aging skin without anti-aging messaging. Um, um, how does your company approach the topic of aging skin intentionally and while still moving away from anti-aging language?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, anti-aging and talking about, constantly talking about fighting wrinkles, constantly saying, erase wrinkles, erase like this subconscious message that we've had for years. It's like, just as attractive to people as weight loss, right? Like it's the same thing, but it's just on our faces. And I believe it just disconnects women from their skin. So they think that there's a problem when there might not be, because they're constantly being told to fix something. And I am a total believer of like, I would never hold judgment to anybody choosing to do whatever they want with their skin. But we have seen such a big problem. You see 14-year-olds, 20-year-olds, like just ready to get Botox treatments, and they have not even, their face hasn't even, they haven't even like, they aren't even themselves yet. Like they haven't even
Yeah.
aged into their skin. So it's just chasing the products instead of understanding the skin. And that's that fear marketing that we just don't ever subscribe to. Always want to focus on education, because nothing feels better than understanding what you uniquely need for your skin, just like you would for your health. And then that releases a lot of the noise that you are constantly just hearing. So yeah, for us, we like to focus on skin resilience, skin function, just like you said, long-term skin health. And what that means is having a routine that, is working to block out the UV, everything that is coming at our skin, using antioxidants topically, using these ingredients like vitamin A that actually work lower in the lower layers of your epidermis to actually help with cell renewal, and then gently exfoliating, because again, that, you
Mm.
know, over exfoliating, dehydrating your skin, those are things that will, not wearing sunscreen, they will prematurely age your skin. We just give you the information. It's not about fearing you into a choice about buying our products. So that's the big disconnect that happens in the industry. They're like, this is bad, this is good, buy this. It's just creating confusion, or just or showing, AI models with gray hair. Like that creates a message that again disconnects with women, and just we're not creating an age inclusive space, which is what we want to do. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, Talk to me about why it's important to challenge this fear-based marketing that's often associated with the beauty industry.
Yeah, it infuriates me, because again, back to the disconnection of like, I'm supposed to feel bad because I'm 44, and like that I don't look like I'm 20, like I'm not supposed to. So for us, we have, to be in the beauty industry, which we want to be fun but educational first, is yeah, we want to keep challenging that fear-based messaging, because again, our governments aren't set up, our Health Canada, they don't have the time to police all of this false marketing that is happening, whether it's claims or equally fear-based marketing, which we know is damaging women's confidence and self image and self-worth. And we have a responsibility to, I think, again, check in with our own ageist views, where you say like, you look so good for your age, or she doesn't look 44. Like, it's just, we've been brought up to, think that those are
Yeah.
natural ways to talk, and they're actually really damaging. And it's really our 14, 20-year olds that we need to protect. And, they're unfortunately being exposed to, poreless marketing, and we will not use any of that marketing because we don't want to contribute to false advertising, fear marketing, which is shockingly a part of so many brands that you see online, even the natural brands or the big beauty brands. It's just, the more we can share, it hopefully will the more indie brands like ourselves doing this honestly, as a core belief and value, it will eventually make it up to the big brands, which are the only ones that can drive real change in the industry. So it's working. That's why they're not doing it, right? They make billions of dollars the other way.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I find similarly, like with what I'm doing, like there's virtual try-on systems where you can try on makeup. And
Yeah.
I've always wanted to do like something that's more true to life as opposed to um, like basically an Instagram filter. Like, yeah, it might make the picture really shareable on social media, but when someone gets the lipstick in the mail and they don't look like Scarlett Johansson, what happens? Right.
I know.
Like,
I know.
you know? Um, so I love the message that you're putting out that like skincare doesn't have to be um like
About perfect skin. Yeah.
yeah about trying to achieve
Perfection.
some kind of unachievable look that's constantly
Mhm.
changing,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And like if people want to do that, like, you know, like go
Go
for it.
for it.
But there should absolutely be a space for people who just want to have healthy skin and want to know how to like, have a good moisturizer that,
Yeah.
you know, just makes sure that their skin doesn't feel itchy. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that shouldn't feel like I'm doing nothing, right? Like,
Yeah.
that is a routine. That is great. It's like, we just feel like we're just, well, it's just this, two-step routine. How is that bad? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I totally agree. There's a space for, and there's joy, and there's beauty in that too.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I think that there's a lot of messaging around beauty, like beauty is like the expression beauty is pain, for example, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that really ties into what you're saying about skin barrier, because
Mhm.
people will subject themselves to
So much discomfort.
so much discomfort in order to look a certain way. And I love the idea that it doesn't have to be like that. Um,
And like
uh,
you said, Rachel, like, it's, sorry to cut you off. It's like, I think there's also a misunderstanding of, like, go for it, do what you want, but there's like a lack of understanding that you are going to have to come back if you're going to want to. That's not a forever one and done, so people spending $800 on a laser, like, I talked to, I have so many friends in the industry, and it's like, at some point you might need to make peace with this pigmentation spot or this concern that you have, because you're going to have to go through this cycle of treatment, recovery, downtime, go again. Like, it's not a one and done
mhm.
situation. So again, it comes back to that, like, inside mirroring out. And, sometimes people can think it's just so woo or whatever. I just want results. But I mean, you truly realize these things as you get better with age, you become more in tune with yourself if you're open to it. And again, then it feels really good to use products that are quality and that you enjoy and you understand. So,
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that's wonderful. Um, so what language or concepts do you use instead of anti-aging to describe the goals for your products?
Oh yeah. I follow Health Canada like to a T. I do any of their updates, their changes. We want to always make sure we're using cosmetic compliant language when we're marketing or selling our products, talking about our products. So it's focusing on skin resilience, holding on to hydration, skin function, and again, long-term skin health. Just like
Mhm.
I always talk about internal health, it's the same principles, right? If we're not moving our bodies, if we're not hydrating, you know, we're not going to feel our best. Our body isn't going to move our best. So the same thing with your skin is um, there's people that don't know, but like there's cosmetic language and then there's the drug language that you can use to market a
Mhm.
product. Like a drug product is our sunscreen, and then all of our skincare is cosmetic. And there's different marketing you're allowed to use in order to sell and communicate this product. So for us, if we're talking about hydration in the skin, we can say it helps improve hydration in the skin. Whereas others could, I mean, again, there's nobody taking these posts down every day. There's no teams around that in Health Canada, but people will say, um, you know, erase fine lines in 72 days. It's like, well, you need the actual clinical studies to support that. They might have it, they might not, but again, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars to create that stat and or erase fine lines or remove dark spots under the eyes. Like these are things you can't say because again, it's cosmetic. It's to improve the look of skin. So um a lot can happen to help support that. But again, like you said, when you were asking, we're always focusing on long-term skin health, skin resilience, and skin function, which absolutely can happen from using supportive ingredients consistently.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Um, I love it. So our last couple questions are just what's the biggest challenge you faced when launching your brand, and how did you overcome it?
I think just not knowing anything. I mean, it was hard. We couldn't even, you had to code a website when we started in 2016.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I was working with, contractors in India to try and figure out how to code each step of my site. It wasn't the same as now. You can just pick off a menu. I think it was more that, and I had young kids. So I think the biggest challenge was like, how do I do this with, like a newborn and a 3-year-old? And it was just the unknown. Yeah, there just wasn't, I had planned the money I had $5,000. I was like, I can do this, if I can get a site going, I can get our labels, our packaging, these 2 products, and then do some markets. Those are $500 a market, and the equipment you need for those, the tables, the linens, all the things. I was like, I have $5,000 and like 6 months to see if what we can do. And we did like $900 in our first year. I mean, we launched in August to be fair. Our year end was December. So I did like $969 in our first year. And then, we just doubled in the next year and like slowly did it that way. I didn't do it a traditional, like I never wanted to do it in a way where it was just like going getting funding. Like I just didn't know enough. So I just was
Mhm.
really focused on the joy of creating the products. And then eventually, in the second year, third year, once I left my business or my full-time job, finding a lab and all those things were the next step. So I think the unknown and yeah, Actually, one thing that I think was also difficult was because I said in the beginning, it was like that whole clean beauty versus conventional. So it was like
Mm,
natural is better than, Cetaphil, right? Or it was like, and I was on the more natural side, and I felt like I was just kind of following along in that first year. So yeah, if anyone's looking to start a skincare business, I'd say just like do something unique to you and what you truly believe. And like, because it's so easy to just like go with the neutral packaging and like look the same as this person, or go the more, I just feel like it's never been more saturated ever in the world, in the time as now in the skincare industry. It's so oversaturated. So um it's interesting. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, people buy stuff that's unique and different. Like if you're
Yeah.
um, doing something that's the same as someone else, like you might be able to undercut them in terms of cost, but then you have thinner margins. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
What are you around for? Like,
yeah,
because that only lasts so long.
yeah,
Like we see it all the time, people on closing, right? So yeah.
yeah. All right. Do you have anything else that you'd like to say or mention in our interview before we sign off?
Uh, well, I think it goes back to what you had asked before, and I think those mistakes that people are missing and also the opportunities. So mistakes, I would say over cleansing, over exfoliating, using too many products.
Mhm.
People have bathroom vanities full of products they've just used a couple times. So maybe even not even using things that are safe to be putting on their skin,
Mm.
24 months later. So don't do that, but exfoliating weekly with the right product, using your sunscreen, because professionals in the field and the research that's been invested on how to actually have your skin age really well. No matter you have more fair skin like Rachel and I, or you have more melanated, beautiful, deeper skin tone, you need sunscreen as well, right? So it doesn't matter. If you're at all concerned with pigmentation, fine lines, elasticity, it's the one thing that can actually support everything. So I would say just make sure to look into that.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to stop recording. Um, here we go.